Alright guys, Tetrabit here again today, later than usual because I had an exam this morning, but you know, it went pretty good overall, so can't complain too much. The last 3 of my exams are next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's when more than likely the daily upload streak will come to an end, but I still got a video out today. Hopefully it's alright, a bit later than usual for a recap, so I thought instead of doing a complete recap, we'll hop right into some news and the like that has come out of the last day or so, because obviously it's been a pretty damn busy time in Call of Duty these last couple of weeks. Got a comment on yesterday's video suggesting that I should increase the volume, so hopefully that should be increased today. Hopefully I'm not blowing your ears out based on what you're used to. If you have any other suggestions of what I can do to improve, anything about the audio, anything like that, then let me know as well. And yeah, like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. One thing to quickly note, don't usually mention this, but for all the YouTubers that you guys watch and enjoy on YouTube, liking is probably the best thing you can do for their videos. Subscribing is also obviously very personally helpful, but liking the videos is really useful because YouTube loves it, that like the like to view ratio, they love that, and that's what promotes it to more and more people, and YouTube decides, the algorithm says, okay, like a lot of people are watching this, but also a load of percentage of those people are liking the video, they push it out really heavily. So not just for my channel, all channels that you would like to support, that's definitely the best thing you can do. So let's run into the video here. So I'm going to go through the Pro League in a second. Of course, Evil Geniuses looking very, very strong. Luminosity once again struggling, and I did a video a couple of months ago when they struggled right at the start of the Pro League. I'll probably be making a similar one this weekend because I'm sure you guys will have your opinions on that, but maybe save those for tomorrow or the next day. So let's start off here with this denial situation. This is a tweet longer from Whalers. So let's go through this here. There's a very interesting article on .esports written by Preston Briers that I'll link down in the description box below. Let's go through this tweet longer then here. So it clarifies his side of the story. We all have to see different sides of the story because the truth is always somewhere in the middle. I'm writing this tweet longer to explain my side of the denial story. Translated from French, but I think he may have translated this himself rather than putting it through Google Translate. So I think this is going to be a pretty good translation. 7 months ago, we made our dream come true by qualifying for the Pro League. I'm pretty sure they qualified in January now, which would be like 5 months ago or 4 months ago. But I guess 7 months ago, they signed with overtime with the clause that they would then get sold on. So I guess that's maybe what he means. We received a lot of offers from several organizations when they made it. We chose denial because they looked serious and trustful. We signed a letter of intent and declaration that was going to serve to ask for our visas, and we signed a contract without a salary because we were not able to legally have a salary. We were supposed to sign a new contract with the salary on it when the visas will be valid. Zach, the CEO, who has now stepped down from that particular role, told us the process could take between 1 and 6 months, and we all agreed on that. A job in the US means dealing with US law. If Denial hasn't paid us, it wasn't by choice. They were just not allowed to do so, as you may have read in some articles. Without this visa, you can't pay your employees, which is kind of what we talked about and got into a little bit yesterday. Today, even I haven't got paid yet, but I remain patient and 100% trust Denial. How did we end up getting dropped? So first, the relationship between us and the org wasn't as good at the start, mainly because some of us refused twice to boot camp in Las Vegas, preferred going back to France to take holidays, which is kind of what supposedly Natche did. And Denial crew didn't understand why we refused to practice against the best. Also, we were asking for our salary 24/7. Didn't help keep a good relationship with Zach and company. In my opinion, we were making mistakes. That's why I took the side with the org. You can tell a big org like Denial do not make a tweet longer like yesterday if they're not 100% sure what they're doing. Zach explained to us many times how it worked. He even came to Columbus during cross division, but the others didn't want to hear anything, which is understandable. In the meantime, Denial was taking care of accommodations, food, transport, etc. But as I took side for Denial, Nacho, Risk and Zeke decided to go against me. I never wanted to make a roster change, but I was stuck between an org that was tired of my mates being unprofessional, no boot camp, tweets, etc., and my teammates who want their salary. The roster change was inevitable, and we all went a free-for-all, basically. Today I'm really sad our French roster couldn't continue playing and getting better as we were doing. We were made great things for the CoD French community, and I hope at some point I can see my ex-teammates back in the Pro League, even if it's going to be complicated now. I'm glad they finally made a good decision where they wanted to play with the UK to try and learn English and find a place in the Pro League. They deserve it. For me, the adventure keeps on going under Elevate. So, a very interesting tweet longer. Let's have a look at a couple of comments from this article. So this is what it says in the article here, that the overtime situation, sources to .esports suggest it's 40,000 euros in that region. And then we also have this. So .esports got in contact with Zach Smith, the CEO of Denial. And okay, He says the following: me personally, they are owed money. Now, would it matter if I gave them $1 million under the table? We still couldn't pay them legally without the P1A visas. Now, from a legal standpoint, do we owe them money? No, but we are rectifying the situation no matter what. Smith said in a statement yesterday he'd be stepping down for operations. Smith, meanwhile, wasn't interested in discussing his own responsibility for the more than €100,000 allegedly owed to the players on overtime combined, as they did a calculation in this article about overtime 40k and then the players total about 80k or something like that. So it's a pretty significant sum, supposedly. When asked how much he felt he personally owed the players, Smith replied, "None of your bloody business, sunshine." So I thought I'd bring that up to start. A couple of other bits of news here before we go into yesterday's matches. Usually this time of year we have a good idea as what's going on with this year's Call of Duty, but so far all we know is it's being made by Infinity Ward. This did come up from Charlie Intel yesterday though, that Microsoft and Sony today announced a partnership to explore cloud-based solutions for gaming and interactive content. Now, this doesn't mean anything, just being an announcement, but there's possibilities that we could see, cross-console stuff happen in the future. So thought I'd mention that. Another tweet here from Charlie Intel. Activision has confirmed they will not have a booth at E3 this year. E3 tends to be that event where, I think people usually can play the game, play Call of Duty, but either it's not ready or something's going on, because we always have some info about this time of the year. This year we don't, so I don't know. Okay, let's hop right into the matches then. So a lot of yesterday's matches were very quick, but we did have a lot of storylines come up as a result of them. So firstly here, this FaZe versus Reciprocity match. Of course, it's the battle of the brothers right now. Scraps versus Wuskin on the other side. And yeah, this was an interesting series. Map number 1, it was close for a time that FaZe pulled away. Their hardpoint has been looking unbelievable. And Scraps has been very impressive all week. I think all of these players have very much impressed me. Like, look at Zero here with a 1.7 overall with the ICR. Back in the day with the NV4, he was just unbelievable on the main assault rifle. Seeing him back on this ICR is really exciting because he is putting up insane numbers with this weapon, the likes of which we are not seeing from many other ICRs. Like, he's, in my opinion, the teams they've played and the performances he's put on, he's got to be right up there with like your Octanes, your Morkses, your Crimsix for the best ICR in the game. Of course, Octane's going to have the number 1 spot on what he did at London, but Zero's got to be right up there with these performances he puts in, day out with the ICR. Another player that's really impressed me has been Celium, actually, because this is a guy who's been talked about a lot. It didn't really show up incredibly much earlier this year. He did have that nice 4-piece against Team Sweden at the Pro League qualifier. Apart from that, little bit, not necessarily lackluster, but he hasn't been a Dashy level superstar. But as of late, he really has been turning it around. And Asim and Zuma as well have really had their moments. You can't put any blame on these guys at all if these guys are losing series or whatever, because they've been playing fantastic as well. And then you've got Scraps in the middle, who has a 2.0 KD, or technically a 1.98, over the course of all the control matches they played this week, which is just frankly ridiculous. So yeah, game 2 was a search and destroy. Reciprocity were up pretty big in this. I think it was a 4-1 advantage, and then FaZe brought it back and won, which obviously is pretty devastating for Reciprocity's confidence. I'm pretty sure Tommy tweeted about how they were looking really good in practice, and then when it comes to the games, it's not looking so strong by any means. And then the control, they basically got blown out on, even though it was a little bit close at times. But yeah, Selim had a 3 KD in the surge. What can you say? Reciprocity, once again, it's Dylan CoD, the only man putting up numbers on this squad. Like, the rest of the guys not really doing that much at all, even though Wuskin had a decent performance, all things considered. But yeah, I mean, someone save Dylan, man, because right now, even though they beat Gen G yesterday, this team isn't looking that great. Speaking of Gen G, we have the following. Once again, all these scoreboards and the like are courtesy of EasyMac. I'll leave his links down in the description box below. Go follow him on Twitter. Would greatly appreciate that, I am sure. This was map number 1, Gen G versus EG. Now, this was an exciting series. I picked Gen G to win. I thought EG would be close. I thought it'd be a 3-1, a 3-2, something like that. But yeah, EG do the job, and they're looking incredibly impressive as of now. And we'll have a look at some tweets and some comments on Reddit a little bit after this, to do with the JCap situation, you know. So this was map number 1. Gen G went up a ridiculous figure, 244 to 164, and they basically did a reciprocity on this Arsenal hardpoint and threw away the lead. They really made some mistakes, especially on that rotation over towards the middle hardpoint. EG ended up getting streaks. Amathy went off towards the end, 27 in 25 for him. Exotic did very well as well. And yeah, EG make the comeback. And then at game 2, well, this is the final scoreboard, but game 2 also was a comeback. Genji were up 4-1, I think, and Evil Geniuses honestly looked like the better team over the course of this map, and certainly over the series. But yeah, they brought it back and won the S&D. Really some throwaway rounds from Genji, and it brings me back to what Slasher was talking about when I was having a chat with him at the casino, and I was just asking him, like, do you think this team needs some sort of leadership figure? And he at the time basically said, I just don't think they've got enough raw talent on paper to get the job done. And we may see an element of that right here in this series, how, you know, Morks 26 in 40, Nagafen 28 in 41, Envoy's negative, Havoc's negative, Maniac's the only guy going off, and he only really did well in the first hardpoint, to be honest. So it's interesting. Of course, Evil Geniuses have stacked their roster with talent, and they've got JCap in the team, and it seems to be working very well for them. You know, he drops a 0.8 over the course of the series, but when you're winning a 3-0 this comfortably, the control was not close at all. Attach went absolutely off. Exotic did very well as well over the course of the series, and Phantoms didn't really have to do anything, even though he put in an absolute shift in yesterday's games. So it's very exciting, really, because I'm a bit of a JCap fan, I guess, and we'll look through a couple of tweets in a second. We might as well just do it now. So this is a tweet from Attach here. Thankful JCap taught me how to play CoD again. Adam Killer Slaw says, so underrated, always got thrown under the bus. And these are some comments on Reddit about this, because a lot of people in the community like to bash on JCap, and of course there was this controversy between him and Clayster, which I'm sure has created some animosity in some of the fans. And of course JCap is an individual player. He's not the best player, especially in these fast-paced games. I thought honestly last year on LG he was pretty damn good, all things considered. So I feel like in the fast pace maybe he's not as good, but he clearly still adds something to a team. You can see what Exotic says here. Team with Cap for a month and he's hands down a top 2 teammate. Fool's made me way better. He knows how to play the game. When you do something wrong, he brings it up constantly till you fix it. And then we have the following engagement here. So gonna need to see his team place higher than top 16 before I start to believe in them, which is definitely fair enough. Of course, they've only won one series 3-0 against a Genji that's not looking as good as they were by any means. And yeah, Ghost kind of reiterates the point I was just mentioning, how, yeah, the cracked out, you know, reaction time CODs of the last year or so, Black Ops 4, is a little bit different to what he was in World War II, where he was very competent indeed. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this team does, of course, because that's what I mentioned during the Rostermania period, how you've got this this EG team and this Envy team with Aches and JCap, you know, those sort of leadership guys who aren't going to put up crazy numbers. Then you've got FaZe with a load of talent, and to see how they will develop over time is interesting. But EG certainly looking a lot better. That 3 over Genji would not have been expected for me coming into this week. So the next series, Midnight versus Luminosity, I also wouldn't really have expected this, because this was not a close series once again. Map 1 was close. Luminosity tend to be quite good on frequency hardpoint. It's a map that John generally does alright on, but yeah, he did not have the best series by any means. Him and Formal, like, Formal has not been playing particularly well this week. John, I think it's difficult to say where this team should go, and I do want to talk about it more tomorrow, so I'm not going to touch on it today in terms of, you know, which player might be letting down the team or whatever, whether it's just a team issue. Like, John has a 0.1 KD in the Surge, so it's not really what you want to see, is it? But yeah, Midnight 3-0'd them. Midnight Surge has honestly been really good. I think in their last few days, I'm not sure, I don't think they've lost a Surge, and every Surge has been like 6-3, 6-4 at the minimum. So I'm really impressed with them honestly right now. And okay, we've got Parasite round here. He has a great series, you know, the rest of the guys putting up some figures. Lacefield, of course, that map number 3 on Arsenal Control, using the grapple and lightweight and a thermal ICR to get into that position to lock people down coming into the first control point was very interesting. Hadn't really seen that used to a great effect before, but he has a 2 KD over the course of the control, which was overall comfortable, even though, you know, it got a little bit sketchy down the end. But yeah, another 3-0 for Midnight over Luminosity Gaming. LG not looking good by any means. They've got a lot to fix going into next week. And then we have the final series of the day, Optic versus UYU. Optic closed it out 3-1. A little bit sketchier than maybe they would like to have been. Map number 1 was relatively close for a time. Map 2 was comfortable. UYU Search and Destroy is still as tragic as ever. They don't play trades. Once one player goes down, they just play kills on their own on separate sides of the map. They get picked off one by one. It's just like watching amateurs play. Frequency control was interesting though. Once again, when a respawn gets close, Optic can't close it out. It's interesting how Optic either seem to dominate maps, or like they will let the other team back in and just close it out, or they will let the other team back in and lose, which seems to be how it goes right now. And they actually do lose the control here to UYU. It's okay, impressive performance from them, but it didn't really matter at the end of the day, did it? Because they go back to frequency and they 33-point club UYU, which was crazy. I mean, Krim went off. Like, a lot of the guys had great series. Of course, TJ has been probably the MVP for my money of their performance this week, and Dashi with a relatively quiet 1.26, because why not? So yeah, an interesting series. Of course, there's this interview after the game with Scarp talking about Hex and that situation. I'll just play it for you guys right now.
How are you feeling coming off that win?
I'm feeling great. We just got a great win over UYU. Still throwing controls, which isn't great. Feel great to get the win, but now we're just hoping for Hector to get a win on the other front for us.
So yeah, what will happen down the line and in future weeks is yet to be determined, but we'll have to see how it goes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you are new as always, and I will see you next time.